how you doing? Let's make some big noise like there's a bunch of people here. This is the most popular panel happening. Oh my God. It is day 3 of Netroots Nation in Pittsburgh and day 3 of Feminist Buzzkills Live, dropping all kinds of just abortion fuckery throughout the conference. We are loving it. We are sad. If you don't know where you're at, this is Feminist Buzzkills Live, the show that's Arn City in the streets and Yling in the sheets. That is a very specific joke for people who know shitty Pittsburgh beers. And I'm not sure anyone in this room is that person. But it's fine. I'm Lizz Winstead. As always, I'm joined. I keep getting my glasses on these microphones. It's like insane. I'm Lizz Winstead, joined by my co-host, Moji Alawode-El.
Hello.
And Marie Kahn.
Hello, everyone.
Oh.
Hello, everyone.
There you are.
So we're going to kick the show off with a special guest right off the bat. Going to bring us 2 pieces of breaking news. The Vice President of External Operations at Northland Family Planning, who's also an amazing independent abortion provider with 3 locations serving the fine folks of Michigan, is here. Please welcome Laura Chellian.
Laura.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome.
Welcome. So we've been following all week here at Netroots the anti-abortion shenanigans coming out of Michigan, and you have an update for us.
I do. Yesterday, so just for a quick background, Wednesday and Thursday there was a trial that happened in Michigan because there was a ruling that said the county prosecutors were not subject to the TRO in place.
TRO, tell people.
Temporary restraining order blocking enforcement of the law in the books from 1931 that says abortion is a crime in Michigan. So there was a TRO in place, and then there was a decision that said, oh, the county prosecutors are not state actors, and so therefore not subject. And so then there was a lot of kerfuffle about what counties in Michigan could actually see patients. Thank God we have Whitmer, who filed suit on behalf of the people of Michigan and the counties that serve people for abortion care. They had a 2-day trial, Wednesday, Thursday, yesterday, Friday morning. The really smart and savvy judge, Jay Cunningham, ruled that they are, in fact, subject to the TRO, and they are not allowed to prosecute the 1931 law in their respective counties. He actually dismissed the testimony of the anti-abortion side completely. He removed it, and he said it was not credible, and it was it wasn't factually based, and so he dismissed it and gave a very bold, strongly worded ruling that was really great.
Yeah, he was really, I highly recommend finding the sound clip of the judge, because he was just like, yeah, this is fucking shit, and as long as I'm a judge, ain't nobody's gonna be pulling this bullshit around me. And it was like, he didn't say it like that, but he was like so awesome, and I'm so excited. And I also wanted to talk, since we had you, because we've been following everything in Michigan, and you and your mom, who your mom started these clinics in the 70s, and has been incredibly active in getting a ballot initiative in Michigan, and with a record amount of signatures on this ballot. And I just want to, if you would let folks know just a little bit about that ballot initiative and where that stands as well, because I think they're trying to have some fuckery around that shit too that we talked about.
Oh, geez, they sure are. So yeah, this ballot initiative is a constitutional amendment that is for adding reproductive freedom for all into the state of Michigan Constitution. That would allow for reproductive freedom in including any and all reproductive choices, including abortion. So it's not just specific to abortion. It is much broader than that, and it's a really fabulous thing that we actually, so record number of signatures, the most of any ballot initiative in the state of Michigan.
720,000.
Because there is no way the antis would win on challenging the number of signatures, because we got so dang many, because obviously people care and they don't want abortion, the right to abortion, to go away. It's bodily autonomy, it's human right. They are trying some other fuckery about smushed language in the ballot. So if you flip the ballot over, it's got the full constitutional amendment, and they're saying some of the language is smushed together, and it's not, you can't read it and understand.
It's a space bar. It's a space bar violation.
Space bar issue.
Yeah.
Space bar.
It's not even like
violation.
bad grammar. It's
No,
just
it's
like
not.
a space bar issue.
It is totally just space bar, and the words make perfect sense, and but I think that it's pretty amazing that they're only thing that they can they're grasping at straws, but basically saying people didn't understand what they were signing. They absolutely understood what they were signing.
I'm like, if you can read a hashtag, you can read that.
Yeah, yeah. The hashtag culture kind of fucks their argument. It's like, excuse me, what?
Yes. So the smushy language thing will happen. There will be a hearing about that, I'm sure, at some point, and they'll just continue to try and not get the ballot initiative on the actual ballot, but we have confidence and faith that it will be on the ballot this November.
That is awesome. Now, also, second piece of good news. Do y'all remember 7 years ago when the creepy anti-abortion guy infiltrated some conferences and made undercover videos and said that they were selling baby parts and all of that shit? Well, that has also there's something coming up with that, Laura. What happened with that ruling?
So yeah, that started 7 years ago, and there was finally a ruling out of the Ninth Circuit that, after 7 years of litigation, that said that they have a permanent injunction against releasing any information and footage from obtained illegally at that conference. They just affirmed that was, so it took 7 years for them to say that that they cannot share that language, or share that footage, share that information, share everything that they obtained from infiltrating that conference.
Yeah, the dude's name was David DeLayden. I think he was fined over $1 million, like all this shit. And so it's good to see that, like, when garbage is going to garbage, finally the Ninth Circuit has said no. And I'm curious as to whether or not it will go to the Supreme Court, but we'll see.
And good news is good news.
Good news is good news. We'll take
Enjoy
it.
the good news.
I do too, Laura. Thank you for bringing us the good news. Laura Chillian, everybody, bringing us some good breaking news. The correspondent, the Feminist Buzzkills live correspondent from Michigan, has been here topping off with some good news. So now we're going to just continue on a good news winning streak. We are going to just drop some good news. Marie, keep the good news. Oh, I'm going to keep the good news coming. Oh, right, that's me. Oregon and a whole bunch of other states are defying Texas by saying we oppose the lawsuit on banning emergency abortion care. So they're like, you want to know what? Come to our state, and you can have your abortions, and we will not prosecute you. So go Michigan, go other states. And you know what? Defying Texas seems to be a really good defy tyrants, defy Texas. Let's do it. Marie, are you going to keep the winning streak going?
Yes, I am. So a West Texas coffee shop owner is doing the most. The Tumbleweed and Sage Cafe, which y'all should follow it on social media, they're located in the suburbs of Lubbock. And if any of you all attended Netroots last year, which was virtual, we, AAF, Feminist Buzzkills, talked about Lubbock. They are a self-proclaimed sanctuary city for the unborn, which is a trend that we went really ham on, and it's been continuing. So this little cafe has had the police called on them for having free emergency contraception kits in their bathroom, because it's not like Texas cops have more pressing things to respond to, like school shootings. So this is just another great example of community strength. This is positive. This is a good thing. Community strength, power of mutual aid, providing the critical free access to these EC kits that easily cost over $50 a pop in this little cafe in West Texas. So this is a win. This is great. And support that cafe and those local efforts that we're seeing.
Hell yeah.
I love a cafe who's just passing out emergency contraception at their cafe. What do you want with your cappuccino? Oat milk and Plan B.
Yes.
I like it. I feel like oat milk and Plan B should be the name of a coffee shop.
Yes.
Actually, let's open up that
open
shade
that
around the
coffee shop.
country.
Yes.
Oat milk lattes and Plan B. Moji, are you going to keep the winning streak going?
Wah, wah.
Oh, sad.
So I'm going to take us over to Kentucky.
You sounded just like that game show.
Yeah,
What's the game show where you?
Price is Right.
Price is Right. That was a very good
Yeah.
Price is Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I practiced it before
It
this.
was good. I feel like you're good.
Yeah, I'm going to take us to Kentucky, and we all know good things come out of Kentucky.
Bourbon.
Bourbon comes out of Kentucky. So anyway, Kentucky has a pre-roll ban on the book, and so basically they've had no abortions for the last month or so while their state Supreme Court is doing what they do. So in the interim, they were like, hey, can we maybe just have a pause on this? So we can have abortions while we suss out whether or not this ban is effective or not. And essentially the Kentucky Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court was like, nope, no one can have any abortions while we decide if people can have abortions or not. And that decision is coming in November. So
November.
Interim no abortions, possibly no abortions after November if they let this stand. So,
I just don't understand the concept of, we're still trying to figure it out. We're not sure, but no.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
why isn't it yes until
Well,
it's no? I feel like it's annoying.
Yeah. I feel like we can look at that as a prelude to what this court is going to do.
Prelude to a
You know,
piss.
so-
Yeah, I feel like
So
that.
just get used to no abortions in Kentucky.
Well, boo. And in
No
my
legal
first-
abortions. There's definitely safe abortions.
Oh, yeah, there's safe
available,
abortions.
But
in
it's not
Kentucky.
necessarily
legal
legal.
abortions.
And that's what
There we go.
Kentuckians are facing.
That's right.
it's
So
true.
just continue
true.
with the bourbon
true.
and safe abortions that are not sanctioned by the state of Kentucky. I don't know if I can say that legally, but maybe I'm in trouble now. Unclear, but let me just remain in trouble. I'm not going to make matters any better. We're going to hop to our big stories of the week. And this is a story that in my sort of life of being on the radio and doing my activism, one of the things that I used to talk about constantly, and it hasn't come up in a long time, is the 1996 Telecommunications Act. You're like, Liz, please keep going, I'm wet. What you need to understand about the 1996 Telecommunications Bill is that Bill Clinton signed it, and it is the bill that literally has led to almost everything that is wrong with our country, because what it did was just deregulate our media, allowed conglomerates to form, and allowed the messaging around anything that we care about basically be squelched. It's why we have these it's why there's the local newspaper can now be owned by the local TV station.
Yep.
It's why if you live in a rural community, it's Clear Channel instead of your local radio station that used to tell you when there was an oil spill. And it's worse. So get this, quietly sitting on the books for 3 decades is a law that explicitly makes it a crime to discuss abortion online in the 1996 Telecommunications Bill. Now, this was the first major attempt by Congress to define what would be lawful on the internet, because the internet was new. The act includes a provision that criminalizes discussing abortion with potential punishment of up to 5 years in prison, $250K in fines, or both. No one has ever been charged with violating this provision, probably because people don't know until right now. Some antis watching this, and now I'm just fucking over everybody probably. But when Clinton signed the act, he said he objected to the ban on abortion-related speech, but that the Justice Department said, oh, it's fine. Why? Because abortion's constitutional. Attorney General Janet Reno at the time said to Congress that her department would not defend the constitutionality of the provision, nor would it be enforced. To date, the DOJ has not changed its policy on enforcing the ban, but I think this is something that we should all actively be working on pressuring Merrick Garland to do something about.
That's going to take years. Merrick Garland moves
He's a little slow, but you know what? He's
like a
effective.
glacier.
Yeah.
But he's effective. You know, he's kind of like
He's
the
a little
guy
reason that could.
Yeah, he's the guy that you're like, is this guy ever gonna fuck me? And then when he does, it's like, wow, that was amazing, right? Like we were all like, I don't know about him. And then that guy just comes in hard. Like, wow, I am impressed by Merrick's energy, his big D energy. Like, come on, you can't deny it. You cannot deny that you were not like a little bit when all of a sudden there was just like, oh, look at all those warrants and going in and taking boxes and being all like, oh my God. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, maybe it's just me. We don't have any Merrick Garland stands here. Okay, fine. But yeah, what do you guys think? Like, you know, it's a pretty wild bill to begin with.
It's a really wild bill. Also, it's so interesting because, like, I guess these bills happen and there's so much, like, weird stuff tucked under and tucked in, like, who was combing through that?
Well,
Not enough people.
not enough people. In fact, so much not enough people that only 5 senators voted against it, and only 16 House members of both parties. In fact, the reason I supported Bernie, because he's the one that said this bill is bullshit and you need to know what's in it. And watching from 1996 until 2016, it was one of the major reasons that I was like, yeah, why aren't we reading bills, and why is it okay to have this explicit language that both parties were like, hell yeah, we'll take corporate media money, which they did. And, we all know the results, right? It just dominates every part of our lives. They just made money off of it, created these media conglomerates, and now we are forever screaming about the fact that things that we care about are not reported or accurately reported in where we're at. So I don't know what to do.
All in the name of privatization.
All in the name of
All,
privatization, because
exactly.
that always, you know what, it really benefits a lot of people. Anytime you say privatize, usually the majority of people benefit.
Fully.
Said no one ever.
Fully.
Yeah, and so I don't know what there is to be done about it, but I know that in the course of, I really feel like we should be
Yelling loud and getting people to change this damn bill.
get this out of here, because it is fucking rash. So I think that as we look at midterms, as we take over, I think that I want to talk about that. And in interest with that, it's big media and big tech. They've been nefarious, but possibly there's help on the way, Moji, when it comes to data collection, or no?
The problem is that a lot of times with these bills, and even what happens as technology pushes really quickly, is that it moves faster than the pace of government. So these companies then create things, and then all of a sudden government's like, oh, that looks like maybe that's a problem.
Do you
Oh,
smell something?
We should consider
There's a smell.
regulating that. So in scary news that's possibly pointing the good news, the FTC has threatened to sue a digital ag tech company. Why are they threatening to sue this company? Because it turns out the info that they're collecting can reveal people's private health data, and where you were, at what time you were there, and then this information is for sale to anyone who wants to buy it. And that sounds terrible, but it sounds particularly terrible right now when we know that abortion's being criminalized, right? So a person, if you have this kind of trail on someone, where they were at what time, it's just one half a step for the police to buy said information or get a warrant for it, and then pregnant people are in jail, or people are in jail for their pregnancy outcomes.
And stalking, if you can sell that information to anybody, is it possible you could just sell it to people who are going to be part of an organization that's looking out for abortion-minded people and trailing them where, it just feels like this could be horrible. So
it could be really horrible. So, the problem is, of course, the FTC is not as savvy. It's new to them. So there's a little bit of figuring it out. And of course, Biden has said we need some direction. And so this is it's a big mess, but it could lead to some good now that people are at least thinking about the problems as they're in our faces.
I feel like I'm super this stuff. Kat, who you're looking at right here, is an expert, and our next guest is an expert. So I'm excited and hopefully there'll be some insights there. But I feel like when it comes to talking about all of this and data and the shit that's being thrown against the wall by the federal government on trying to solve issues around access and abortion, and it just always feels like, it's like you said, Moji, it's not thought through. It's here's the thing we're going to try, and then you're like, well, okay. Is that the way we get to have rights?
And also the corporations that are people can lobby on their own behalf to
Yes.
for politicians who are definitely not reading these bills, that I'm sure they have corporations have a key part in crafting, or at least saying, well, this is important to me. And it's okay.
Let's have a steak dinner, load you up with martinis, tell you about this thing we want to do, get your support, and then send it over to you when you're fucking hungover. And you're like, this seems fine, I'll introduce it. And here we go to the races, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so I think this is a good time to bring up our fantastic guest, who maybe will have some insights on this, and then also just talk to us about just a lot of stuff, Moj.
Yeah, so joining us today is Tara Murther, Director of Communications at the Women's Law Project, who just finished a research project on how these fake clinics collect and use your data.
Yay! Boop, boop, boop,
Hi,
boop, whoop,
everyone.
whoop, whoop.
So wait, just, are you in? Are you
Yep,
on?
I'm on.
Yes.
Yep.
So this week at Netroots, we've laid out what anti-abortion centers are and how they're funded, but there's another insidious piece about them that you have uncovered in your research, and that is how they collect your info if you happen to fall into one of their facilities and what they do with it. So what are the ways they collect data virtually and in person?
Thanks. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't discover it. People have been tracking this, but we started raising the alarms as part of a coordinated project that we conceived with Women's Law Project and other state-based legal orgs, where we looked at and analyzed crisis pregnancy centers, anti-abortion centers, pregnancy help centers, whatever, lemonade stands, whatever they want to call themselves, in the 9 respective states in which we operate, against the backdrop of these aggressive claims to being medical, seeing Roe is going to fall, all of that good stuff. So we found that most CBCs now are affiliated with one of the major organizations. And so the infrastructure for collecting our data is that these major anti-abortion orgs that steer the CPC industry, they facilitate expansion, they give them website kits with handy-dandy coordinated anti-abortion talking points. That way they inject all that false information into the world in a coordinated way. And in exchange, they get all this data about not just people who walk through the doors of a CPC, perhaps thinking that it's a clinic. Sometimes people go knowing what it is, but being misled about the legitimacy of the pregnancy test or the ultrasound or the things that are available there. But also culling data from chatbots, from CPC ads that are on Facebook, from apps, from things like the abortion pill network, rescue network, the abortion pill reversal rescue network, which, if you're not familiar, abortion pill reversal is not a real thing. It's a made-up propaganda talking point and practice, where now it's not just fake information, it's acting on fake information and telling people that if they took the first of a 2-part medication abortion protocol, that if you call this number, it's a snake oil treatment, that if you call this number, we'll connect you and give you a high dose of progesterone, which is not proven safe nor effective for its purported purpose. And that's fundamentally a data collection as well. Here they're getting you to voluntarily tell them that you began the abortion process in a country that's increasingly criminalizing abortion. So all this data is floating around. They don't just ask your medical and repro history. It's history of drug use, alcohol use, relationship status, your sexuality, all these things, including your ultrasound photos, perhaps are stored in a mega database that the anti-abortion movement has created, hoping in their terms to create digital dossiers on all of us to track us. Because when abortion is criminalized or banned, all pregnancy and potential pregnancies must be surveilled and tracked to enforce the new laws.
That is so scary. I mean, I remember, and this is just a little thing, but it was creepy. I was in a clinic in Minneapolis, and right next door to the clinic in Minneapolis was one of these fake centers. And if you sat in the lobby and went on your phone on the internet, the major Wi-Fi that popped up was the one from the fake clinic, and the Wi-Fi network was called Don't Kill Your Baby.
Oh my God.
And so, I was like, wow, that seems super, sketchy, and that's pretty smart of them to, do that, but, that's just, some baby thing that they're just, way off in the distance. But also, I just wanted to bring it up because I'm not, like Kat here, she's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm always having to have my shit locked down. But can you talk a little bit about even what kind of data can be collected on an open Wi-Fi network like that? If you were to hop onto that, what somebody could get?
Oh my God, I'm not a tech person, but yeah, we need to follow groups like Digital Defense Fund, that are advising personal security at all costs, because our information is at risk, and not just what they want to do with it, but once it's in their hands, these are facilities that give a mirage of being medical. And so people fork over a lot of information voluntarily. They're also now at the point of just coercing, legislatively coercing you to give information, which is the next tipping point, so they don't have to bother tricking you into it. But yeah, I again, not a tech person, but I would take every precaution to not be emailing about your reproductive plans in a coffee shop on their open internet, for sure.
That sounds fair.
Yeah, unless, of course, it's the coffee shop you referenced earlier.
Yes, if it's abortion and Plan B,
Yes.
you can get on that Wi-Fi site and just be there. In fact, let's just add abortion at the coffee shop. Plan C.
So
Yeah.
we have these fake clinics, these crisis pregnancy center, anti-abortion centers collecting this information. And now we're at the point with the story that Moji discussed that the FTC, other entities are looking at. What are they going to be doing with this info? Why are they having this info?
And what's
Where's the
in
next
it?
step, and what's in it? Yeah.
What's in the info? Well, it's also, I mean, the anti-abortion movement is the anti-LGBTQ movement as well. I mean, it's not a coincidence all these trans bans are coming down at the same time. It's about policing people to try to use the power of the state to enforce this fictitious binary gender system, right? So they're going to be using it for all of those reasons as well, just sharing the information. But beyond the nefarious purposes, there's no HIPAA, there's no privacy laws. Once your data is out there, it could be, to Moji's point of the story, like sliced and diced, sold to data brokers. Data brokers are largely unregulated, which is the problem in the United States. Certainly people can de-anonymize. I've talked to reporters who are working on stories where they're obtaining information easily, and then pretty easily, I don't know how to de-anonymize anything, but there are lots of people who know how to do this sort of thing. So it's your data is in bits and fragments floating around, and they could wind up really in any hands. And the anti-abortion movement, we talk a lot about criminalizing, and we should, of course, because it's horrific and mass incarceration and everything, but they're actually prioritizing the civil bans. So that's something to keep in mind.
And talk about what that looks like, because I do think a lot of people are looking at how those bans work, and that like the bounty hunting ban is a civil ban. Would you kind of lay that out so folks can really understand what that is?
Sure. So the awareness of it began in Texas, right, with Senate Bill 8. So these are civil bans. The way Texas created a novel way to avoid judicial scrutiny of banning abortion while Roe was still in effect, right? So it was unconstitutional, but instead of farming the enforcement piece to the police and to the state, they farmed that out to citizens, to citizen vigilantes, right? So that was the way, basically, Texas officials created this method, this mechanism, and then our Supreme Court said, by gum, that is novel, and I don't know, we have to let it go, I suppose. And of course, the dissent, Sotomayor's dissent, pointed out, really? Basically, her dissent was really, they wrote this law explicitly to evade your scrutiny, and you said, they tricked us. We're not good at our jobs. They did get us. Anyway.
Damn you.
Right.
Kids.
The terrible Scooby-Doo episode we're all tortured in. So it farms out the enforcement mechanism to friends and neighbors and incentivizes community members to hunt down the pregnancy status of friends and neighbors, which entails hunting down your period information and, real invasive stuff for financial reward, right? So you can file, if I'm a terrible person and I think that you had an abortion because I think you might have been pregnant and now you're not, I can try to find out where I think you got an abortion, and then file a civil lawsuit and get richly rewarded $10,000 up to, some of the Texas one was at least $10,000, I believe. So yeah, financially incentivizing isolation, hunting your friends and neighbors. But there's a little known so far part of so they're prioritizing those civil laws over criminal bans. the rhetoric is, we have all these progressive prosecutors, can't trust them to enforce the criminal statutes against abortion, so we better trust the highly armed anti-abortion citizen vigilante yahoos instead. So that's the reasoning for prioritizing civil bans. Also, it just fractures communities and families, as a side note. But on top of the $10,000, the model law they want adds punitive damages of monies to be donated to the Crisis Pregnancy Center of the plaintiff's choice. So they're fundraising off headhunting doctors. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, also, I think the little piece of it that I think people might not also realize is if you are just somebody who has been victimized by some bounty hunting psycho, and you go through a process and it's like, clearly this bounty hunting person's terrible, and you've had to get a lawyer, nobody reimburses you for your law fees as the person.
Right.
And that's the part that's just there. You can't say, douchebag bounty hunter, you pay for my legal fees because you brought a lawsuit against me that's not real. You just have to eat the cost. That's like amazing to me.
Well, it's all creating financial scarcity and fear, right? I mean, that's the crux of the entire system. It's all targeting low-income people, targeting people who don't have $10,000 sitting around.
Just the fear of getting that is enough. Must be. I feel like for some people to be like, nope, not going to do this. I can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine somebody trying to share their quandary about being pregnant and not wanting to be, and saying, you know what, don't even talk to me about it. I cannot get caught up in this kind of craziness right now. And that's the intention. Isolate everyone.
And, you know, we talk about how this affects clinics, patients, but I think we should just also talk a little bit about folks who organize, you know, Marie, your organization, or even us as an Abortion Access Front, you know, trying to figure out strategies around that. Where are we dropping our information that we're not thinking about that could be used to, like, foil our plans? Like, they do feel like the villain in Scooby-Doo constantly. But yeah, like, you know, where are we dropping our shit and where are they looking? Like, how could that affect us?
Yeah, and I also think we need to be targeting one of the sources of power, which is the public money, our tax dollars they're being funded by our tax dollars to harm us, right? Crisis pregnancy centers have been onboarded in many states already as state-funded programs, while the principle of the public money that could be going to actually help people is egregious enough. What that means is we need to understand they're evolving from having a strategy based on intercepting people seeking legitimate health care. Now we're poised where they're advertising that they want to replace legitimate health care, so creating this sort of shadow dragnet of fake clinics, right? And the next step is to permanently embed as a state-funded, state-sanctioned extension of government that functions as the eyes and ears of state governments surveilling for pregnancy outcomes, you know. Abortion as much as they try to silo it, you cannot ban abortion without criminalizing all adverse pregnancy outcomes. And by that I mean any pregnancy that results in something other than a full-term healthy baby puts the pregnant person and everyone around them now at risk for criminalization and/or this scheme of Yahoo hunting.
And the second they have your information from any pregnancy outcome that you've had, let's say, you know, they have that forever and they'll track you and they'll follow you, and I think that's really scary. And so, it kind of says, like, we have to wrap up here, but can you tell us a little bit, like, what can we do? Like, as we try to, like, hopefully the FTC can actually do something, but what can we do to protect ourselves as this is happening? What should we be thinking about?
Well, like you said, we should definitely be protecting ourselves and following the digital experts that are telling us how to do that and lifting up that information. So mutual aid that way of like mutually educating everyone. In terms of advocacy, certainly if there is not a state-funded CPC network in your state, that is the goal. It's probably happening now. That is the agitation to become, again, embedded in every state. So it goes back to building relationships with your lawmakers, certainly demanding that they're not funded. But even if they're not yet funded, there's no oversight. Not to how they spend the public money if they get it, not to how they target people, how they treat people, demanding oversight. And by oversight, I mean there's not even a basic accounting of what they're doing, of what services are being provided. I haven't seen any state take action on abortion pill reversal, and this is a scam that in states like Pennsylvania, where we are, a state-funded effort to target low-income pregnant people, and specifically Black women, for a practice that medical experts call experimentation.
Also
medical
dangerous.
Experimentation.
Yes.
But also dangerous.
That is also dangerous.
Yeah.
But also, I find it so
How egregious
interesting
does it have to get?
that the American Medical Association did not chime in on any abortion-related scammery until this abortion pill reversal was put into law in North Dakota, right? So it's like, where is the medical community when it comes to experimentation? Like it just shows how, again, abortion is siloed out. We are not protecting providers and practitioners of it, and the places that regular folks know or think of as the sort of authority. I guess they're associations. Yeah, it's got association in their title, duh. But like, they should be stepping out and stepping up in a way that they, as always, but now, for sure.
Yeah, I find physicians themselves who I work with and providers are wonderful, and they're doing everything they can to heroically advocate while struggling to provide care. But yes, their parent, not all of the organizations, the medical organizations need to step up and step out of this self-isolation and accepting the stigmatization of it, and be a voice in the legislatures and be an out loud voice about what they are being forced to harm patients.
That's right. Yeah. And garbage tracking patients, garbage practices, like, come on now.
Yeah.
Not now, when? Jesus.
And the hospitals, you know?
Tara, thank you so much for joining us here. You should follow the Women's Law Project on Facebook and Twitter. That's at Women's Law Proj, PRJ. PROJ, sorry. And on Instagram at Women's Law Project.
Awesome. Tara, Murtha, thank you. We have talked about abortion for 3 hours. Now, we are going to...
There's still more to say, though.
There's so much more to say. I know.
More to say.
In the scope of how we haven't talked about it at all, I feel like we're doing great. Now we're going to transition to the game that everybody loves. It is the Feminist Podcast game. It is the pickleball of games on feminist podcasts.
Absolutely.
It is 6 Degrees of Abortion. The concept is simple. Moji and Marie choose a news story and present it to me with the hopes of embarrassing me publicly by me not being able to connect it to abortion. I have 6 tries. I will take those 6 tries, and I will take their ridicule. What is the story this week? My friends, I say loosely.
So this week, today, in honor of it being the 3rd day of Netroots, we decided we were going to have a little fun with it.
Oh.
And throw you a softball, mostly for lols.
You know what I feel like? I feel like this is super patronizing.
Mostly for lols. So, Kat, if you'll pull up our image.
Oh, there's the image?
We found out about the Children's Mullet Festival in Michigan.
1877 mullets for kids.
Wow. The Children's Mullet Festival?
And there were several pictures, but we chose some of our favorites. These are competitors in the Children's Mullet Festival in Michigan for 2022. And we would like you to link mullets to abortion.
Okay, well, first of all, this feels like child abuse.
It is.
So I feel like, are the children, is it selective mullets? Because if a kid wants to have a mullet, feel free, let it fly,
I
do
do
whatever.
not know anything about the
I don't
consent
know if there was
level.
choice. Yeah,
Going back
choice.
to Rustin, I don't think that's voluntary.
Okay, so I am tying mullets
To abortion.
To abortion.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I would just say that I'm traumatized by this. I guess I could just say that like Randall Terry had a mullet in the 90s.
Yep.
Randall Terry was the leader of Operation Rescue, and his mullet was EPIC, if you will. That is epic for those of you following at home, proving I can also spell. So these children's mullet to Randall Terry's mullet to Randall Terry Operation Rescue. I have to give my own self a bump.
100%.
Yeah.
We actually very much were like,
Where am I gonna go?
No, we were like half these anti.
Well, I was literally like, which anti has a mullet? Which anti has a mullet? I was like, oh, Randall Terry's mullet was so bad in the 90s. There we go. So, okay, good. I feel like I'm excited. I feel like you guys threw me a softball.
It was fun
And I
times.
like winning. So, as you know, we have so many sponsors here at Feminist Buzzkills Live. It's almost as though we're Mark Cuban. We are so rich from sponsors. And by sponsors, I mean
we need our own pharmacy.
fake sponsors that we make up for humor, but they keep us going. And so in the interest of podcast ads, we just wanted to feel like we belong to the ranks of Pod Save America and others who have big
Absolutely.
sponsors. And so, Marie and Moji, are you going to read from one of our big, amazing fake sponsors this week that we're very proud of?
Yes, we are. We couldn't bring you today's episode of FBK without our wonderful fake sponsor, Organizer, the first daily ordeal delivery service. We have to comb through so much bullshit for this podcast. Sometimes it's hard to remember who's calling us a useless slut and who's telling us to make them a sandwich. That's why it's so nice to get all the patriarchal oppression delivered right into my inbox. And that's why I subscribe to Organizer.
Same here. Last week, instead of spending 4 hours on Twitter, I opened my Organizer inbox and bam, all the comments calling me a baby killer or a skanky baby killer, all in one place.
Amazing.
How convenient, Moji! When I opened up my Organizer inbox this week, it was a handy, alphabetized list of incels, colonizers, and anti-abortion enthusiasts, and their plans to punish anyone who won't sleep with them. Thanks, Organizer.
Sign up today for Organizer with promo code BuzzkillWhore and get 50% off your ability to function in this society as anyone but a cishet white male. If it's gonna happen anyway, it might as well be in one place.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like this isn't the worst fake product. I feel like if I could just organize all the hate, also you could report it. You know, it'd be kind of nice.
It'd be helpful.
I feel like we might have to brand
Scrapbook
Organizer.
with it. It seems a really good stepping
I feel
stone.
like I'm your organizer.
I feel like you technically are my Organizer. Thanks, Cat Organizer. I think that's amazing. Well, y'all, holy moly, we did a show.
We did a show.
Yes.
We did a show. We did our last show of Netroots. Oh.
Thank you all so much. Big thank you especially to Laura Chelian and Tara Murtha. You can follow Tara at Tara Murtha and the Women's Law Project, as Moji mentioned, at Women's Law Proj. Thank you so much for listening. We want to be a reliable info hub and a source of humor as we face some really hard times ahead, and we've got this together. We're in this together, and we got you. FBK Live is edited by Remy DeTournay and is produced by MSW Media and Abortion Access Front. And to keep up with all the latest repro news between episodes, you can follow us on social media at Abortion Front, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and the YouTubes.
Won't you subscribe to this podcast?
Won't you please say it to the camera, Moji?
Won't you subscribe to this
In
podcast?
the arms of the
Please give us a review.
angels, you can
5 stars.
say
We're the only pod breaking down the weekly news about abortion and making you laugh while doing it. Plus, you'll help us reach more people. And by doing so, you're helping more people learn about this assault on abortion access. That was great. Thank you, guys.
I really felt like we needed a little Sarah McLachlan in our begging. Have you seen these podcasters? You could help these podcasters with just a small donation. Okay, anyway.
For less than the price of a oat milk a day.
Yes!
oatmeal bidet?
I did not.
Okay. I've really lost my shit. I ended my panel 15 minutes early. I don't even know what's happening anymore, and we've got shit to come, which is kind of scary because coming up next, and we're exhausted, this one right here is going to walk you through what a first trimester abortion might look like, and we're going to do it on a papaya. So if you want to come, you can't. I'm telling you this. You're not here. You're watching this. Anyway, come. We're doing it on a papaya. It's going to be awesome. We're going to walk you through exactly why you do it on a papaya. It's going to be awesome. Also, we're going to learn about a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff at our booth. You can learn about our massive activist training program. And we're launching it as a pod series, and Marie's going to tell you all about that because I've lost the will to read.
Yes, for all of y'all that are online watching this, Operation Save Abortion is something we're really excited about. It's a 5-part video series that deep dives into the many areas of abortion activism and comes with an activity guide to explore further and create your own actions. So you can watch all of our sessions, access the activity guide, and sign up for upcoming trainings at operationsaveabortion.com. Plus, on August 26th, we are dropping OpSave as a pod series on the Feminist Buzzkills live channel. So listen in wherever you get your podcasts. You can access the activity guide in the show notes of every pod episode.
And lastly, join our Patreon. You'll support great content and get cool FBK merch and experiences. All pledges come with oat lattes. And they support this pod and all of our activism at Abortion Access Front. Pledge at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.
In the arms of the angels. That's all I can sing before we get fined.
Okay.
Anyway,
Right?
we are out of here so quick, and it's been so much fun to be back with you, Netroots. We will see you next year. We hope you'll join us out here in these reproductive streets between now and then, because guys like you're about to see are out here showing their whole ass, and it's going to take all of us to shut them down.
Why are we letting women teach us? Why are we letting women lead us? You know, the Republican Party seems doomed to me because while we're kicking on the Democrats, let's kick on the Republicans for a minute. Most of the recent candidates are women. Right. And I'm thinking like, okay, Joe Biden bad. A woman politician replacing him, not better.